Jessica, thanks so much for taking time to sit down and talk with us. You were named the assistant coach back in July, so it's been about 3 months. Tell me about what it's been like to know that you have broken barriers as the NHL's first female all-time, full-time assistant coach. What is it like for you to know that?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's special to hear because I'm so focused on just being a coach every day, and I lace up my skates the same way as everybody else, but it's just, I'm different right now in this space and I'm new to it. So I think experiencing just the magnitude for what it feels like for everyone who's watching and really behind this and seeing it, that's when it really brings a lot of meaning to me, because I just love what I do. I'm extremely passionate about coaching, and obviously I'm so proud to be a Seattle Kraken and to get to be here now and living out my goals, and my ultimate dream is now realized. But just to know that what I'm doing is part of really a bigger thing, and it's so much bigger than myself and what I do every day, to know that somebody else is hopefully going to have it easier, or the door might be held open for another woman or someone to come into this space that is having the challenges to get there. So it means so much, and I can't even really put words to just the magnitude of really the weight that I get to carry this torch so proudly.
You come from a hockey family. Pretty much everyone in your family played. As you were growing up, you played on boys' teams because there weren't any girls' teams to play on. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I often grew up as the only girl in the locker room, and I had usually my own janitor's room or storage closet to get dressed in, and that in itself was an experience, and definitely in some ways not always a positive one, being the only one and kind of being on the side of it, and then having to come into the boys space. But I again love the game, and the most competitive level for me to be at was to play with the boys, and I just didn't really see myself any different. And so once I got in the locker room, we were just playing, and just like now, we're speaking the language of hockey. And growing up with the boys, I think in a very unique way, I think you can connect dots backwards in your life. Maybe not at the moment, but I think that it shaped me into who I am now, and it's made me confident and comfortable in the locker room and to be in this position, because this was my normal growing up, was being with the boys, and those were my best friends, my teammates at such a young age, right up until I was 16 years old, and then had an opportunity to turn to competitive girls hockey and women's hockey. But it's kind of full circle, a funny thing that's how it started for me, and to be back in this spot, I mean, I'm obviously proud of those days, because it made me the player that I am, it made me the coach that I am now, and it really instilled that fire in me that I could do anything that the boys could do, because I was doing it then.
Did you ever struggle with feeling like you had to prove yourself to belong, or did you just feel like you just fit in?
Yeah, I never felt like I had to prove myself. I knew that I was different, but I definitely just went about my game and playing the same way that everybody else did. I don't think I had anything to prove other than I was smaller, but I was fast. So I always wanted to be the fastest one on the ice. I wanted to be stronger than the boys, and so I think it put a little bit of a fire under my butt, because I wasn't one of the boys, and they often had more strength, and we were all competitive, but I wanted to bring the strengths that I had to showcase that I was just as good. And so I continued to try out for the higher levels of boys hockey, because I wanted to take those steps, and I had also the same goals. Like, I dreamt of playing in the NHL because I didn't see a professional women's league. And so to be here now coaching in the NHL, but to have started the same way as the boys, it's just such a interesting thing now looking back, but it's such a special way that it all turned out.
As a player, did you dream of becoming a coach someday?
I didn't. I studied and played hockey at Cornell, and I got a communications degree, and at the time I didn't exactly know which path I wanted to go down, but I didn't think to coaching. I knew that hockey was just in my DNA, and from playing to then transitioning to coaching, basically the next year after I retired, I fell right on this path. I think anybody that knows me, former teammates, kind of knew that I would end up teaching skating. It was a strength of mine, and I went right into it, and hockey's never not been a part of my life. And so to know that, even though I couldn't see the coaching path directly for me, I just followed my passion, and it put me on the path that's right for me, which is here now. But I think it also is a reason why I had a naive belief that I could do this, because even though there wasn't representation, I think I didn't see the challenges that there could be, and I just focused on going about my work and trying to work with bigger players, better players, and appreciate the process of being a coach, and it got me here, and that's why I've always tried to stay grounded to what makes me the coach that I am and to take it all in along the way.
So as a player, you talked about how you brought the strengths as a girl, as a young woman to the game, different than boys. What do you bring as a female leader, as a coach, to this team?
Yeah, I think I'm very creative. As you know, I have a very creative mind. I think I take a lot of pride in communication and just detail and being very organized with a plan, and then blending all of those things together. But as a leader, I'm very compassionate. I think I care a lot about just supporting the human first versus the athlete, and really establishing, you know, the relationship and the trust and just the rapport that a coach and player needs to have in order to accomplish anything together. Like, my job is to support them and to lift them up to their potential and help them unlock that potential to becoming a better version of themselves. And so I think the strategic side of my leadership is just sharing, you know, my coaching, I guess, talents is I'm creative and putting that all in one category, but then more it's supporting the players is just person to person, and they know, and I ensure that through my process I need them to know that I care about their success first, and it's all about them. And when you make it all about them, then I think your natural traits, like, you know, having charisma or being creative or being compassionate, those things all just kind of come out through the natural process of leading.
It just dawned on me that this is not just a first for NHL, but it's a first for these players who have never had a female coach, likely, right? So what do you think that's been like for them? What kind of adjustment have they had to have someone who has a different take? I mean, as a woman, you coach differently than a man would.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like, it's an interesting question, because I think the coaching piece and the language of hockey is really all the same, but now they're just hearing it from a female voice, or they're hearing it from maybe a presentation that they've never seen before. And I embrace my femininity, and I'm proud of that, and bring that to the table. But I really think that for them, it's maybe just the way I am as a person. I might come off differently than what they've experienced before, but I think that different is a good thing. I think that when you have all the same people in the same room, often you get the same answers or the same outcomes. And so I try to embrace the differences that I have when I approach them from a place of love and care and respect. And I hope, and it's very important to me, that they feel that I do respect them and that I'm coming to them from a place of love and care. And I don't think they, at the end of the day, see anything different than me just in their corner, another coach in their corner, just like the rest of our staff. And it's different, it's new now, but hopefully it's kind of a boring thing to talk about in 5 to 10 years, right?
That it's not the first question that comes out of a reporter's mouth is, what is it like to be the first,
yeah,
right?
It's important to talk about right now, because it's important for the growth. It's special for the game right now, but at the same time, you know, my hope is that we get to a point where you don't, you know, grab your bags if you see a female pilot and go the other way. You just go about your business and trust, and I think that's where we're getting to in hockey right now, and I'm excited to play my part behind the bench, because there's so many other women in management and scouting in all different areas of the industry and media that are doing a phenomenal job. And so now it's just the presence and the representation behind the bench is another step.
You worked with Coach Bilesma in Coachella Valley. In a recent interview, he said that you make him a better coach. What do you think you do that makes him better?
I just remind him often of his really positive traits. I think I like to call out the really good and then challenge in ways, maybe the ways that we both can improve or he can improve. Like, I've witnessed now for 2 years the team respond to his coaching and his leadership, and I've just, you know, been at times a fly on the wall, sometimes directly in the conversations, but I've witnessed it all, and I've watched the culture change through his leadership. I've watched players come into their own as a result of things that he's done. And so I try to like tell him those things along the way, like when you do this, they do this, they feel this, like they need to hear this from you. I just try to remind him of like all the strengths that he has as a leader, the ways that he can instill in those moments, because sometimes we're naive to, and so he does the same for me, and I just try to communicate with him ongoing. And I think because I do that, I can also be honest with him when I think things need to be cleaned up, and I think he can respect when I come to him at a place of like, we could also improve on this, and it's not a stab or it's not personal, it's from a place of care and respect as well.
Sounds like you really complement each other.
Yeah, I think so. And he's very playful, energetic, and competitive, and I'm very competitive and energetic and love fun, and I think just creating the same environment, we're really much on the same page with that.
What has he brought to this Kraken team?
He's just brought a whole, I think, wave of just authenticity. I think he is very much a very, I would say, a compassionate leader. He is very much proud to be himself. He doesn't try to, be anything but a great coach and a great person, and has a lot of fun. I think he allows the players to take a deep breath and just, in serious moments, pause and realize like this game is only good if we're having fun, and we're only going to win if we're having fun, and we enjoy the process of coming to the rink every day and working. Like when work is fun, everybody can do more and be more, and so I think he just models that every day as a leader, while also being extremely competitive and intense. So there's a line that he walks that the guys can feel, and that we can all supplement and complement him on as a coaching staff as well.
Do you believe that we're going to see more female coaches in the NHL? I mean, you're the first full-time assistant coach. It's a big deal. It's significant. Do you think that you're opening the door for more opportunities for women?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is just the start of a movement. I think once something is done, others have the permission to do the same, and I commend, and I'm so proud to be a Kraken because of what this organization, this city is part of and represents. So for me, it's so special to be at Kraken for that very reason, because to be the first, but to be part of this organization that values, and different people in a room, to now know that other organizations could potentially challenge their own thoughts, and leaders or people in a position to give an opportunity to the next woman might just turn to, well, how did it go in Seattle, or how did it go there, and we can be the leaders in that. And it reminds me every day that the work that I do is that there's so important that we do a good job, and that the impact is a positive one, because I do think that with that happening, then more women are going to get the door held open for them to be a part of the conversation, be included in the regular interviewing process, and I think a table will be there with a chair pulled up for them.
You seem like you've had such confidence even as a young girl in a male-dominated area. What kind of advice would you have to young girls who are watching right now who want to get into a male-dominated career or profession?
Mm-hmm. There's challenges with everything we do in life, and if you enter into a space and you don't see anyone that looks like yourself, that doesn't mean you're any less than or not capable of. And that's what I would remind all the young girls, is because if you love what you do, you're passionate about it, then just chase it fearlessly. Like there's really no obstacles or challenges that are holding us back other than the ones that we put within ourselves. Like when you really think about the challenges that are out there, it's, well, what does this look like? What do people think? Oh, this is hard. Like if you just stay focused on the path, you don't worry about what representation there is, what other opportunities there are. If you just do what you do, go about your work, put in the work, day in, day out, and prove yourself, but focus on proving yourself, then anything's possible. And I know that because it's been a big part of my journey, is just doing the work, staying committed to the work. And I feel like I'm here today because I kept my focus on that, and I really never let the outside noise or the obstacles that others would have looked at this and said, well, how did she get there? I just stayed focused on coaching and being the best coach that I could be every day.
And on that note, since you've now achieved something pretty significant in your life and your career, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to become the first full-time head coach of the NHL, the first female?
I want to win a Stanley Cup first. I don't care what position I'm in. I'll fill water bottles, but yeah, who knows? I mean, with time, I mean, I've changed and grown a lot as a coach. 3-4 years ago, I thought I wanted to be a skating coach in the NHL, and that's where I started off. And then I, went down the player development. And when I got an opportunity to be behind the bench, it just clicked for me that no, I want to be in the trenches on the bench. And now I'm in an assistant role. I'm loving that I get to kind of bring my skill set to support the players on the ice and do the development, but then also support the coaching staff and run special teams. But if the opportunity comes and I start to go down that path, then I don't see why I can't become a head coach one day. Stanley Cup first.
Stanley Cup first. That's awesome.
That's what I want to do.
I don't blame you. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.